guys, it's Nurse J again at Nursing the Truth, and my goodness, I cannot even make a video without something going on. A beeper, a timer, a text message, a phone call. It's like, people, leave me alone. Let me do what I need to do best. So, a little bit of part 2 about King Pharaoh Taharqa, a Nubian black pharaoh, went to help Hezekiah to fight. Now, but why, Nurse Jerry, are you telling us this? Because you need to understand that if we're being told about how ugly and hateful Egypt was, then why in the hell are we calling on these good old boys? Why should we have anything to do with them? Why? What, where, when, and how? So, as I told you, different countries had different vassal states. And Canaan, Philistine, has always been, in some sort of fashion, the Egyptian territory. Always has. And they've had some breakdowns, of course, especially after the Ramesside period. When the Sea Peoples came in and they had to fight them, Ramesses II and so on and so forth, and the third had to fight them. But they let them stay in Canaan. So, this Bible is nothing but an Egyptian story about the 18th dynasty and a little bit before. Basically, probably the Hyksos expulsion, the Hyksos, and then leaving, and then Akhenaten, and then, going out, and then, just spreading, and it's just the whole 9 yards. It's just nothing but a big, fat mess. And you really have to search the scriptures and the historical records to try to piece this crap together, because it really is a bunch of mess. So, as I said, Taharqa was a pharaoh of the 25th dynasty, a Nubian black pharaoh. And I gave you the history about the nomes and really what part of the country is older than the other one. Ethiopia, Nubia is way older than the lower part. So you have to understand your history. Now, this is funny. So, the Egyptian army had arrived in support of the anti-Assyrian forces in Palestine. Did you hear me? Palestine, Canaan. They went. The Egyptian forces went to Palestine. The army is said by Sennacherib to have consisted of chariots of Egyptian kings and the king of Ethiopia, which would mean, if correctly reported by the Assyrians, that Shabaka's army was supported by forces of Egyptian princes, probably of the Delta region. Sennacherib claims to have decisively defeated the Egyptian and Ethiopian army at El-Tikah. He then turned against Ekron, a neighboring city whose king, Ptah, had tried to remain loyal to Sennacherib, but whom his own subjects had turned over as prisoners to King Hezekiah of Judah. Ekron had taken, and its leading citizens were severely punished. Later, Hezekiah was forced to release Ptah. When Sennacherib reestablished on his throne at Ekron, and whose territory was enlarged by areas taken away from Judah and Ashkelon. Having secured the coastal areas of Palestine and repelled the Egyptian forces which had attempted to aid the anti-Assyrian coalition, Sennacherib was now free to turn his attention to Hezekiah, who seems to have been more or less the soul of the Western anti-Assyrian alliance. Sennacherib claims to have captured 46 of Hezekiah's fortified cities and numerous open villages, from which he said he deported 200,000 people and a great number of livestock. Now, like I said, you have a very little area at that time. It wasn't a very big place by biblical archaeology, Henry Finkelstein. Also, Taharqa, he has a prayer concerning the conquest of Egypt because they were coming as well to Egypt. And I'm trying to get this on my phone. Okay, so Taharqa's inscription reflects the Egyptian Now, let's go back. You remember Lachish, the Battle of Lachish, or the Levant? Have you heard of the Levant today? Gaza, Jordan, Israel, Damascus, the Levant, the little bitty strip going up there. Well, let's see what it says. Taharqa's inscription reflects the Egyptian dominion in the Levant. Really? Yes, my truth seekers. Between March of 673 and 671 and the loss of it. A closer look at the inscription reveals Taharqa's view of the Assyrian conquest of Egypt in 671 and possibly in 667. The text is composed of an introduction and Taharqa's complaint and request are respectively similar in content and Amun's favor in the past. Taharqa's distress and Taharqa's request. An elaboration and deal with foreign affairs and Taharqa's family safety. These requests are not mentioned in paragraph 4. It says, Amun. Now this is what's really funny about this God saying this and that and the other. Amun caused Taharqa to discover that whatever was promised and granted to him changed. Amun has given Taharqa the 2 lands and caused him to acknowledge his rule. He caused someone to enter, name and place not preserved in the text, with people who did not know what Amun had ordained for Taharqa. According to the theological, ideological presentation in Taharqa's prayer, it was Amun who caused the enemy to invade Egypt and desecrate places, either as part of a plan to glorify Taharqa's accomplishments or because Amun was angry with him. He says, O Amun, you shall hear them from me, and you shall turn back the evil words. Do not let me enter an affair that you hate, and do not let me do what you hate. From you together with me, I am your little child, while it is you who begot all that comes into being. There is nothing which it is the residence of Amun. Taharqa's request is constructed, and Amun is addressed as a God who finished what he has started. Taharqa demanded continuity in Amun's deeds, and Amun had given Taharqa the rule over Egypt, and Taharqa's wish is that the people who did not know Amun and entered his realm would recognize his legitimacy and his divine decreed sovereignty over Egypt. Taharqa asked Amun to prevent him from doing things which Amun detests. He claimed that something was taken from Amun's hands with his. In these sentences, Amun is described as an omnipotent Creator God, a father who has to take care of his child, and Taharqa and protected him from getting into danger. Furthermore, the close relationship between Taharqa and Amun stresses the identity of calls between God's affairs and those of the king. Amun acts on behalf of Taharqa. It also says that his wives, his sons, and his daughters, whose bodies are like his, skins as black as asphalt. It also lists from Egypt brought back to Nineveh together with the offspring of his father's house, sons of earlier kings, and furthermore, the Sennacherib stele preserves a literary account as well as a relief of Esarhaddon holding a king who is commonly identified with Baal, king of Tyre, together with the Nubian crown prince Ushenharu, a rope piercing his lips. This is clearly a depiction of one of the sons of Taharqa who are mentioned in Taharqa's prayer. So, if you want to learn more about Taharqa and the 25th dynasty of Egypt and what they did, you can read in the book of Isaiah and in 2 Kings about Taharqa, but his name is going to be spelled like this: Tirhakah. He was the king of Ethiopia and Egypt. And, and it's like, why, if Hezekiah is a king of Judah, which is this Israel that we're thinking in our heads now, the people that are there now, why would we call upon them? But the Lord gave permission. He just said, is this the God Amun? That he's going to blast these people? See, you got to understand, people, this is Egyptian book. So, until next time, I hope you've enjoyed the enlightenment of the 25th dynasty of Egypt. And yes, truth seekers, all types of bloodlines have been mixed. The bloodlines of the dark-skinned black Nubians, Ethiopians, Egyptians, mixed with all the other races. And now you have a hodgepodge of mixing. You never know who has the DNA of the ancient Egyptians running in their veins. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. Message me if you like. Let me know how I'm doing. What would you like for me to bring to you? God Thoth, God Anubis, Goddess Bastet, and King Tutankhamun is right behind me. And I will always, always search the truth and the prime creator is with me. Hotep.